Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Actually, I got to quit saying that because I'm in the morning, actually, 10:35 a.m. here in San Diego, California. So, doing the live stream today because the weather outside isn't very good for San Diego. Not very good at all. In fact, I just looked at it a second ago. There's high wind warnings. We generally don't get a lot of wind here in San Diego, but today it's really, and you can tell, you can hear the wind. You might be able to hear it a little bit in the background. And it's raining, and the weather just isn't very nice. And actually, it looks like in the higher altitude, they had a little bit of snow. You can see it here on the cruiser. It's kind of interesting. I saw this on the YouTube, and they said they saw the San Diego police cruiser with snow on it. It's kind of an unusual sight. So everybody, that was kind of interesting. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit today because I got an interesting piece of actually got an interesting email from somebody that watches my videos. And I got to really give this person credit because this is a great email. But originally, when I got this email, I ignored it. I didn't even look at it. And the reason I didn't look at the email is because what the email was about is, and this is the podcast. And actually, the email come from somebody. His name is Tor Gusted. Tor Gusted. And if you're listening to this, I appreciate the email because he sent me this podcast. And what they're talking about is that Block One is holding around $8 billion worth of Bitcoin right now. We don't know. You can listen to the podcast. We don't know exactly how much, but they're holding quite a bit of Bitcoin. And of course, that's Block One, not EOS. So when I originally got this email, I discounted it, knowing that Block One has distanced themselves from EOS. And I remember the days back when they launched the chain. They went to great extent to say, look, we're going to raise $4 billion. And if we don't launch a chain, we're okay. We're not promising anything here. We're going to raise the money and we're going to promise a chain. But we're not saying that we're going to do it. If it doesn't work out, something doesn't happen, something falls apart, we are not going to be held responsible. And they went to great extent to do that. Not only did they do that, they said that we're not going to be responsible for the community and the launching of the chain. The chain had to be launched by the community. We're not going to launch the chain. We're just going to give you the software, the open source software, the EOS IO software that's going to allow you to run this blockchain. And it's up to the community, up to the block producers to do that. And then we're going to be off to the side and we're going to be supporters of the blockchain. So in other words, we're going to help software developments and we're going to help with but still trying to be as distant as possible from the actual EOS token. And for a couple of reasons. First of all, they didn't want the liability responsibility of raising money because with that, as we all know, the Security and Exchange Commission can call you a security, which can come with a lot of downside, which is you're in violation of the Security and Exchange Commission rules and regulations, meaning that you have to, there's a qualified investor requirement where somebody has to have a certain net worth before they can invest in a high speculative investment like maybe a token. Also, the fact that you could have to give back the money if you raised it and you didn't all do it all correctly. So there's just a lot of things they didn't do. They just skipped all that and just said, look, we're just going to raise some money here. We're not promising anything, but if it works out, this is what we're going to do. And of course, we have Dan Larimer, who has started a couple other blockchains and highly regarded in the community. And, we have some other people. Peter Thiel was involved, and of course Mike Novogratz and some other people. So and they had other investors. So they looked like they had something going on. So that was kind of the genesis of the EOS token. That Block One was the inventor, but not responsible for the invention. So when Tor, and I hope I pronounced your name right, sent me this idea that perhaps there's $8 billion worth of Bitcoin that belongs to Block One, not EOS, Block One. They're separate. and they've been very, very, very um, vocal in the separation. And of course, the separation comes with the idea of blockchain, decentralization. We want to decentralize. We don't want to be connected. We want autonomous. We want something running on its own. We want the community to run this. Thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not giving my times that I'm coming on. So, who knows when I'm coming on. I'm coming on anytime. And I'm probably going to start doing it this way. And let me know if you liked it on the computer better, if you like it on the street better. A lot of people like to see me on the street. I don't know why. Maybe just because they like to see the background or like to see me interact with somebody that is trying to, inject themselves into my video, or they just like, I don't know, maybe they're just used to that. But greetings from Iran. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's a long way away. I'd like to go there sometime. So back to topic. And I was going to talk about this before I started talking about this email, and forgive me for injecting this, but I had a friend over last night who's from downtown San Diego, and they're really struggling down there with COVID, and a lot of businesses have closed down, and it's starting to become a little different as far as everything going on down there. I mean, businesses are closed down. People aren't visiting. People aren't, the tourism, San Diego relies very heavily on tourism. And the tourism isn't coming because the people aren't traveling. They thought maybe people would be driving. People aren't driving. They thought maybe people would be flying. They're not flying. And he literally works someplace, a major hotel down in San Diego, and they're used to getting 300 to 400 people a day. They're getting 2. So it went from 300 to 400 people checking in a day to here recently. He says they're getting about 2 people a day to check in. So this is how hard COVID is hitting this city of San Diego. And it's interesting because he's telling us all this stuff, and I'm seeing it myself, but I am so immersed in blockchain and so immersed in working with this new frontier of blockchain and technology and all this, that it's given me something to think about besides what's going on around me. All the things that are changing, the way our world is changing. So I actually kind of look at blockchain as a lifeline for me right now, especially. So I'm not, seeing as much as of this that's going on. I should be talking about it more on my channel because it's affecting a lot of people's lives, and what happens here in the future could be significant as far as the way our world changes. And like talking to him last night was kind of an eye opener for us, my wife and I both, because I'm literally most 95% of the time behind a computer, and probably a good percentage of that 95% of the time is behind a computer within my own home. So I'm not out mingling around downtown San Diego, or maybe I'll go up to LA occasionally, or we'll travel. In fact, actually this week we are going to Texarkana, Texas, or Arkansas, Texarkana, Arkansas, for Chase's fight. He's an MMA fighter, so we're going out there for a fight. We'll be leaving here very soon. So I'm going to be doing some videos from Texarkana, Arkansas. I've never been there before, know anything about it. But I'm not, I'm not traveling around the world. I'm not seeing what's going on. So, this has given me kind of an idea, a way of escaping what's really happening in the world. But I want to start talking about that because there's some significant stuff going on in the world today, and it's going to affect every person. And when you hear an area like San Diego, downtown San Diego, which is a very vibrant, if you've ever been there before, beautiful, beautiful. It's got the harbor, and it's got the airport coming in. It's got the cruise ships coming in. Lots of restaurants, a lot of nightlife, the Gaslamp district, very vibrant area. And if it's shut down, to the point where there's literally nothing going on down there, that's a big change. And, like I say, maybe I'll start doing some videos, maybe even go down there, check it out, because I think a lot of people would like to see kind of how a major metropolitan area has been affected by COVID. But anyway, back to this email that was sent to me by a viewer. So you've got Block One, who's been investing smartly in Bitcoin. And obviously we all know what Bitcoin's done. I mean, Bitcoin is just, it's actually was up 8% last night. It's actually come back a little bit. But when you look at what Bitcoin's done over the last, Yeah, good luck to Chase. Yeah, he's got a big fight coming up. He's Chase likes to he likes athletic challenges. Uh, hopefully, one day we'll get to have this party and everybody will get together and meet each other, and we'll all get to see what we look like and who we are and stuff. But he's a very, very quiet guy. You would never ever think that he is a fighter or someone that likes to engage in grappling and fighting and stuff, but he is. He's very intense. I think I've posted a couple of his fights on this channel, but he's a very intense individual, and he likes to fight. He likes to grapple. He likes to mix it up. My wife's father, that I never got to meet because he had passed away before I met my wife, was a professional boxer. So he was a professional boxer. So it's in my wife's side of the family is wanting to fight. They want to fight. They're Irish. They like to fight, and they like this. I guess he's a heavyweight champion of the world right now. This um, Tyson. I don't Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's Irish. Kind of that fighting thing. Conor McGregor, another one. So they like that. It's in their blood. They love that stuff. So anyway, back to this. But anyway, I appreciate the well wishes for Chase because he's focused. I'm looking at him and he's focused. He's getting ready to fight, and he's been training hard and he's working out and looks good, fit. He's looking strong and I'll probably video this fight and I'll probably upload it so they get a chance to see it. Plus, what kind of a unique individual? Somebody that's a MMA fighter, was a great wrestler, was a college wrestler, high school All-American, state champion, California state champion, high school wrestler, very, very good wrestler. Went on to Arizona State, which is one of the premier wrestling schools for the country. They have Zeke Jones, who was the Olympic wrestler for the United States. He um, he um, um, he coached the Olympic world team for a number of years. He's the Arizona State head coach. Zeke Jones. Chase wrestled a year for Zeke, one of the most technical wrestlers in the world. He was a silver medalist at the Olympics. So Chase has wrestled literally with some of the world's best wrestlers. At the level that he's wrestled and wrestled some of the most elite athletes in the world, wrestlers in the world, and represented one of the most prestigious wrestling programs in the country at Arizona State University as a heavyweight, as a light heavyweight. He's probably about 230, 235, 240 pounds. And, of course, the heavyweight goes up to 285. So, and those guys are probably cutting to make 285. So he's 235, 240, and he's wrestling guys that are probably 300 walking around and maybe cutting to 285 for the day that they wrestle. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's we're getting to a point. We've been at this for a number of years. Both our sons wrestled. We watched a lot of wrestling, a lot of fighting, and so we're getting ready to go out to Texarkana and do it once again. So anyway, that kind of gets me out of my bubble. My bubble is the internet, the computer, the blockchain. Watching cryptocurrencies. That's my bubble. I get out of it sometimes, and it's going to be kind of interesting for me to go back to the Midwest and see what's going on back there because I haven't been to the Midwest for a number of years. Although I grew up as I've talked about before, in the state of Nebraska. Not born in California, although California is my home. It'll probably be my home, hopefully, for the rest of my life. I love California. A lot of people hate California. They call it a state that's overregulated. They call it a state that a liberal state, the left coast, the land of fruit and nuts, all this stuff people say about California. Don't believe it. California's a great place. It just kind of people like to make their stereotypes about places. I've been out here for a long time. I've never really had a problem with people out here. People generally are very nice out here. It's a vibrant community. People are trying to, live healthy lifestyles out here. It's a very it's a very good place to live. It's a high quality life in California. San Diego, especially closer to the beach, you get the higher quality, higher standard of living there is. And there's a reason why it's densely populated, is because it's a great, beautiful place to live. And whatever anybody else says about it, I would be very, oh, how would you say? I'd be a little bit skeptical of the stereotypes about California, just like any place else in the country. You can make stereotypes about any place, but California's a great place. I love California. So anyway, back to this thing, and the reason why I'm hitting this email and talking about this so much is because in fact, I just got one this morning, about, hey, you maybe want to change your channel name from EOS San Diego to something about Bitcoin. I don't understand why you guys are still hanging on to EOS. I don't understand why you still talk about EOS. I mean, it's a dead project. It's going nowhere. And obviously the price has done very poorly next to all the other cryptocurrencies. It's done horrible against Bitcoin. It's done horrible against Ethereum. Ethereum is screaming. Cardano, all these others have outperformed EOS token enormously. So a lot of people really tell me, why are you wasting your time with EOS? And that's what this is about today, talking about this. Actually, for two reasons. First of all, we are running an application on EOS. So we're looking at EOS not only as a token. I mean, most people look at EOS as a token, an investment token. We look at it as developers because we're running an application on it. So we are attached to it from that point of view. And I will tell you this. I mean, not many people in the world are writing code and developing a software or developing an application or working on an application on a blockchain. That's a very small group of people. So most people look at the cryptocurrencies from the point of view as far as an investment. So I can understand why EOS has such a bad reputation, because it's not performed well as a token value. I mean, it's been all the way up to $21. And I think right now, what is it? It's back to about like $2 again, something like that. But EOS, yeah, $269. I mean, this thing's been up to over $22. So it's been very, very, very low. So, it gets a bad reputation for that. So people don't like it. But I want to talk a little bit, because I'm going to give some other. I'm going to go outside the box here with EOS, and I'm going to talk about it in a way you probably never heard it talked about by anybody, and probably by a way that only somebody like we can talk about it, because we've literally built, invested, and followed this community every day for the last 3 years. Every day. I mean, outside of, maybe, I was in the hospital for a week earlier this year. I mean, I didn't get to follow it during that week or 2 weeks I was in the hospital. But outside of that, on a normal day, I follow something. I'm on my phone, my cell phone, or I'm on the internet, and I'm following. So I literally followed this thing for 3 years, almost every single day. Elon Musk quotes, whichever has least air, least. I watched something on Elon last night. Elon actually is regressing. I both like and dislike that guy. I mean, I heard a thing last night where he was on, he's just a big clip. And he's kind of saying stuff like, well, I think Bitcoin's just a way for people to do transactions, the dark web, maybe transactions that for the purchase of things that are illegal, which is the craziest thing you can say. I mean, that's the regression all the way back to like 2012 to say something so unthought out. And I mean, everybody thinks of Elon as a really smart guy. And yeah, he is probably smart enough, but I don't think he's at the point that everybody thinks he's at. I mean, I've listened to numerous Elon Musk podcasts, listened to the guy endlessly, and he changes, he flips flops, he says stuff. First he's in, first he's out, first he likes, or he doesn't like. You got to realize he's got a connection to PayPal. PayPal is a little bit of a competitor to the blockchain, so that respect. The other thing about Elon is he is overly leveraged in every other thing in the world too. I mean, he's into digging tunnels for transportation underground. He's into SpaceX. He's into, of course, electrical cars. He's into everything. So his mind is everywhere. And I don't know, but he said some stuff about Bitcoin I was not very happy with. The way he talked about Bitcoin, I didn't know if I was listening to Elon Musk or Warren Buffett, because he said he didn't own any Bitcoin. So why don't own any Bitcoin? Well, you probably don't have any money to own any Bitcoin because you've been spending it on sending rockets into the space, and you've also been spending it on, every other thing in the world. Although he's probably sitting on a lot of cash because the Tesla stock's gone up really, really well. Plus, I don't like the way your new car looks. Okay, I love I love the older style cars. I love the ones, the S series. I'm not into the newer looking. I mean, but I understand there's a lot of Elon Musk followers, so I'm going to shut up about Elon. But I didn't like what he had to say uh, about Bitcoin too much. But anyway, back to this. I'm going to sidetrack and never talk about what it is that came online to talk about, which is the fact that Block One has somewhere around $8 billion worth of Bitcoin right now, which is a lot of Bitcoin. So they've been buying Bitcoin. I'm going to take a sip here for a second. So how does that how does that figure? And this is why I originally ignored Tor's email, because I knew that there was a big divide between Block One and the EOS token. So I'm thinking, and I was really going to make a video about this, and I was going to sit there and I was going to tell people, hey, look, if Block One has $8 billion of the Bitcoin, that's not going to help EOS because they're separated. They've made a big effort to make that separation. So don't think that Block One is going to simply disperse the 8 billion worth of Bitcoin to these token holders. And that's the thought of my mind, because I know all the background and history, and I know how much work they went into trying to making this thing decentralized and separating the two. So I'm thinking, you're barking up the wrong tree here, because EOS does not have to do anything with the 8 billion worth of Bitcoin. They don't have to give it to the token holders, and there's a big separation here. But I listened to the podcast, and these are actually investors, these people that did this podcast, and they do the disclaimer, and the disclaimer is they do own EOS, and I own EOS, well, not a lot, but obviously we run the project, we own the token. So, but like I've said before, it's not my life savings. It's enough EOS that definitely I have an interest in it, but it's not going to make or break my life if it goes to zero or goes to $100. I'm not pushing it from a point of view that I want people to invest because I hope to enrich myself from that. Not at all. Not even close. I mean, it's not that. It's more of an interest to me that EOS does well, because I want the software to continue to progress more so than I want the token to go up in value. But anyway, these guys, and these are interesting. These are investors. These are people that are investing a lot of money. And they're talking about the relationship that EOS, the Block One, has with the EOS token. And what they're basically saying, irregardless of the fact that there is a disconnect, there's a divide between the two separate entities, that there is still a relationship there that may make it incumbent on Block One to share or to do something with all this money that they have accumulated through the increased value of Bitcoin. They may have to do something with that money to enhance or enrich the EOS token and the EOS community. And there may be a legal responsibility here. Now, I don't know, I haven't really talked too much about myself, but I'm not only, I went to law school. I'm not a lawyer, but I did go to law school. I do understand the concept of a legal concept. And I do understand that whenever there's money involved, people will always be really creative on how to get their fingers on that money legally. I mean, there's always a way, especially in today's world of litigation and legality. And we also know that EOS had settled with the Security and Exchange Commission, admitted that, hey, we raised money and that we're going to do a So Block One settles with the Security and Exchange Commission, giving the indicator that yes, we have a relationship with the token. We can't just completely run away from the token. We raised $8 billion, and now we can't just disassociate ourselves with it. We actually had to pay a fine saying that we raised money. So they're already establishing there's a little bit of a relationship between EOS and Block One. So Block One's got 8 billion in more, maybe more than 8 billion today. We don't know. I listened to the podcast. They give two different figures. I was going to try to figure that out, but I don't know. But they got a lot of Bitcoin, billions and billions and billions of dollars. The issue is they have way more Bitcoin than the token value right now. I think the token value right now, EOS token, is about 2.5 billion market cap. Okay, so they have 2.5 billion market cap by the token, and they got over 8 billion, maybe 10 billion in Bitcoin, and maybe more than that if Bitcoin goes a lot higher, which I believe Bitcoin will be going a lot higher. You can't just say this is decentralized and we're not going to do anything for the token holders. We're just, we're going to take we took their 4 billion we raised through the ICO, and we bought the Bitcoin, and that's all us, and we're not going to do anything with that. We're going to continue to give help with the software, but we're not going to split up any of this great windfall that we have with this Bitcoin. I believe legally there's a great argument to be made that Block One has some duty, some fiduciary responsibility to ante up, to pony up, to belly up, to split up some of that money that they got, or to do something for EOS. Maybe help somebody develop on EOS like us. I mean, not too long ago, they had a little bit of an investment pool of money. I think $50,000. I think they gave it out to like 30 different projects. We were not one of them. Even though we applied to try to get some money from EOS, EOS has never done or Block One has never done anything to help us out. Like I've said before, I've never even I've tried to get Dan Larimer to come on this channel. He never did. Now he's gone. I've never talked to anybody outside of Mike Novogratz. I've talked to Novogratz, and I've talked to some other people there. Talked to a few people there that work at Block One. But I had very little relationship with him, as well as my son, even though we are developers, and we have invested a lot of money on their chain, on developing their chain and making their chain, have some value by building an application that's being used and ran around the world right now and doing very well. And we have, we've got nothing out of them, nothing. And so they may start doing something like this. The other thing, and of course this person brought this up, is they may set up some sort of investment or some sort of fund where this 8 billion goes into this fund and somehow backs the EOS token. So, by buying EOS token, you may have an interest in this $8 billion worth of Bitcoin that they own. So what these guys were literally saying is you may be able to buy a Bitcoin at a fraction of the price that it's going for on the open market. So right now it's 33,000 a Bitcoin. But you could buy EOS right now for $2.69, which is just the price. But it's basically, let's look at market cap. So basically, the market cap of Bitcoin is 627 billion. I remember when it was 300 billion not too long ago. So it's really gone up in value. And EOS is what, 2.5 billion. So what they're saying is literally with EOS, the amount of EOS has $8 billion worth of Bitcoin. Their market value right now is 2.5 billion. So what they're saying is you may be able to buy Bitcoin at a huge discount by buying EOS because EOS holds a bunch of Bitcoin. So if you can create that relationship where the token is going to be supported by this $8 billion worth of Bitcoin that Block One is setting on, this could make the value of EOS go up extraordinarily. It could just, look at the difference. $8 billion, all of a sudden, if you have an $8 billion injection of money in that backs the EOS token, this could go from $2.69 to like $50 really quickly. I don't know. I haven't done the numbers or figured out what $8 billion worth of capital will do to this, but there's going to, and I will guarantee you something's going to happen. Like this guy said in the podcast, I would say I'd play the podcast a little bit, but like I say, they're investment investment vehicle, and I don't want to play their stuff because basically I don't know anything about them outside of with this podcast, and I know what they're saying. The podcast is true because I'm involved and I know what they're talking about and I understand it. But from their perspective of how they're leveraging this or how they're doing this as an investment vehicle, I don't know what they're doing there, but I know the fundamentals of what this person is saying are absolutely true. What he's saying is they have a lot of money. Block One has a lot of money right now, and the token is struggling. So there's going to be a point in time where either Block One is going to start doing something to raise the value of the EOS token, or they're going to get sued, or there's going to be some sort of regulation come in that governs what they've done or doing. Even though technically they've done everything they can by trying to distance themselves from the token, by saying, we have no responsibility, we're open source software, it's up to the community does this stuff. Everything is on the community, we don't do anything. They're trying as hard as they can to push that narrative, although they're sitting on an $8 billion worth of a windfall from the people that own that token, the investors that raise the money for that token. So if you own that token, you kind of indirectly have an interest in that $8 billion worth of Bitcoin. And even though they do probably not want to give it up, or even though they don't want to do that, they kind of have a duty to make sure that that money helps the EOS token somehow, helps those people that own the EOS token somehow. There's a play here. That's what I'm basically saying, and that's what he's saying here. There's a play. And I think the seat gets very hot for Block One. So as the seat gets very hot, as the temperature rises, as the environment becomes a little more uncomfortable because Bitcoin keeps going up in value, and that 8 billion becomes 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 billion, and at the same time, nothing's being built on EOS, and the token value continues to be an underperformer, there's going to be something happen. Something's going to happen. The two ends are going to meet. Either Block One's going to pony up some money, or there's going to be there's going to be a problem. And basically that's what they're saying. There's a player, and I think he made some. And whoever did that, whoever this person is, and I don't even know, the profit maximalist, and I don't even know if that's the person that's talking. I'll put a link for it. You can listen to it yourself. What they're saying is there's a play here, which I totally agree with. But the other thing they're saying is it's probably not a quick play. It's not like you're going to buy $10,000 worth of EOS tomorrow, and then EOS is going to go to $100 a token because they're sitting on $8 billion worth of Bitcoin. It's probably not going to happen that way. This is going to be a little bit more of a process because it's we're in uncharted territory. Nobody's ever been this way before. A token, a cryptocurrency, is a little bit different than a corporation run that's being traded on a New York Stock Exchange or on the NASDAQ or some of these other stock exchanges. A little bit different. There's a little bit different terminologies. There's a little bit different, how this is operated and run. If this was an actual stock, this would be treasury stock on the balance sheet because they have $8 billion, just like Michael Saylor with MicroStrategies. He took the money, the cash that he was sitting on from his company and bought Bitcoin and 3x'd it, 3 times it for his investors. So, and he says, I had a fiduciary duty to do that. I couldn't sit here and watch trillions of dollars of stimulus being put into the economy and devaluing the currency of the money that was being held in my company, that's in my investor money, that really isn't my money because it belongs to my investors. I'm just the CEO. I have a fiduciary duty to these people that invested in my company to do something with that money, not just put it on in simple interest. Now, and a guy like Elon Musk, what he's doing is he's investing in other projects. He's going to the, to the space. He's going to the moon. He's going, sailors saying, no, I'm not going to do something like that. I'm going to invest in Bitcoin because Bitcoin is going to bring back a better return than maybe all the money I spend in building rockets or building infrastructure. And see, the thing about Elon Musk is a dreamer. He likes to dream. He likes to dream stuff. And you need people like Elon Musk to push technology, to think about going to Mars, to think about autonomous driving cars. I mean, there's two things Elon Musk says, and I'll agree with him 100% about this. Number one is that we are going to electric cars because it's a better way of transportation. The second thing, we're going to autonomously driven cars. We're going to cars that are going to be driven by computer. And it's funny because I listen to a lot of his podcasts. He says you could tell a car that's being driven by a computer because he says it drives perfectly straight. No variations, no this, no this. He goes, you can look at it, you can observe it and see visually that this is driven by a computer because of how much smoother, how much better it's performing. And that's interesting to me because he says those two things are going to happen. And he's absolutely correct. Those two things are going to happen. And you need guys like Musk out there to think this stuff up. And he's got to dream it and he's got to go after it. So I'm not an anti-Elon Musk person. But what I'm saying is sometimes Elon doesn't think in a way, to me, that would be easy to understand. So, he makes things a little more complicated. I'm not gonna invest in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's easy. I'm gonna build SpaceX. I'm gonna build boring machines. I'm gonna do because I like to push technology, and I'm a dreamer and I'm a person that goes out. But in the same time, he goes through a lot of money doing stuff like that. He much probably would help his investors. Wouldn't be as fun, but he'd probably be more successful investing if he just made it simple and bought Bitcoin, like Michael Saylor does. So rather than make a complicated, way for the money to be spent, and maybe it pays off. Maybe someday he becomes the person that makes space economical. I mean, when NASA or the space program does something, the government intervention does something, it becomes expensive because you throw away any of the profit loss things, and you're just saying we have a project to do. Whatever it costs, we put out contracts. Then you become, it gets messy because then you have politicians and you have lobbyists, and we want basically controlled by a few companies because they are on the inside track, so it gets very expensive. And going to space becomes zillions of dollars. Where Elon Musk says, I'm a private company, I make the decisions. I'm not playing favorites because somebody's paying me money to be reelected. So I get to space a lot cheaper than the government gets to space. So he makes space more accessible for everybody because he's doing it privately, and it makes more sense than doing it through the government because the government's going to be messy. Even though privately, it's messy too, but he may be able to do it a lot cheaper. So literally, Elon may be pushing technology that's so expensive for people to push, like the autonomous car or something like that. He's pushing it privately because he's doing away with all the bureaucratic nightmare, and he's pushing it privately, so he's getting better results than if it was being pushed by the U.S. government space program. So in that respect, Elon's doing something that's beneficial to society. He's helping us be more productive. As a car driven by computer is more efficient. It may get into less accidents. It allows us to free up our time to do other things more valuable than driving. Driving's a pretty mindless thing to do, but it's a very important thing to do. But if you free your mind while you're driving, maybe I can be on my laptop. My car's driving itself, and I can be on my laptop, and I can be doing something online, so I'm more productive. So he's pushing things to make us more productive. For that reason, Elon is kind of a person everybody likes. He's a cult hero because of the fact that he does this kind of stuff. But he is not maybe doing the very best for his investors, even though the Tesla stock's done amazing. probably the best performing stock on the NASDAQ. But Michael Saylor did it the easy way. He just said, I'm going to buy Bitcoin, 3x it, and I don't have all the messiness of going into space or trying to figure out how to go to space or do all. And you could see it in Elon Musk's his demeanor. He looks like he's always stressed, and he's like, it's like I saw him on some of these podcasts, some of these things, and especially when they had the situation with COVID and they couldn't reopen the factories up in San Francisco, up in the Bay Area. So he, got involved with all the, well, open the factories or I'm leaving, and all that stuff going on like that, but people liked that because he was going up against the structure. He was going up against, the community or the political system up there. And he stood up and said, open the factories, let us go. So people love Elon for that reason. But he also makes things a little complicated. And, like I say, he made some comments the other night about Bitcoin I wasn't too happy with. But we'll let that go because, but back to Michael Saylor, who is MicroStrategies, who's got, if you're into cryptocurrencies, you know who Michael Saylor is. He's the guy that's kind of figured out that Bitcoin is the vehicle that's going to stay ahead of all the stimulus and the excessive money printing and the devaluation of our money. Put money in Bitcoin because there's only a limited number of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is going to stay above the fray. And he's doing very well. And as I was thinking about Michael Saylor and him doing that, I'm thinking to myself, if Michael Saylor has outperformed everybody else as a CEO and did it very easily, just bought a bunch of Bitcoin, is that going to put if other investors purchase a stock and their CEO doesn't do something like Saylor, which invests in Bitcoin, are they going to look at him and say, or look at her, or look at that person and say, you know what? You could have done something with that money that you had laying in the bank accounts that was actually investor money and done something with it more than, bought a bond or put it on simple interest or put it in a bank account. You could have invested in something. And if you don't do as well as Michael Saylor's done, maybe, the investors will sue because they feel like, hey, here's a guy that did 3X. You didn't do 3X for us. You didn't do, and this is the way it's very, this is a double-edged sword as far as being a CEO and owning a company and going public. It's a money game. When you take a company public, and I was in that business, I was a stockbroker. I saw people take their companies public. That's an instant windfall of money because now you've sold a portion of your equity to investors, and now you have a big bunch of cash you got to work with. And what you do with that cash, is up to you now. Now you've sold some of your company. So the way it usually worked is you have people that had ideas, they struggle for years, they really never make much money, but now they go public. Now it's trades on the stock exchange. If you got really creative people that can market and create, just like all these tech companies like Amazon. Why is Amazon valued at what it's valued? Not because of what they're doing today, but what people envision that they're doing in the future. Amazon could be the place 95% of the world shops at. And if you're thinking that way, you're valuing Amazon at way more than what they're doing today. And I always look at Amazon more as a delivery company than somebody that sells something, because what Bezos is always concerned about is how quickly we can get it to you. So if you're a private company and you're going public and you're selling the blue sky, and you got guys like me who are, stockbrokers who are selling the investment, getting people excited, getting them revved up, and that drives up the price of the stock. And of course, you have your stock, you have your insider stock, you have your 144 stock. You have 144 stock is basically stock you can't sell right away because you can't hit the market. But, as the stock price increases and you can start to sell your stock, you know what, you're making lots of money. you're because people are driving up to buy your stock, so you're making lots of money. So it's a good thing. So going public is a great thing, and people love going public, and it's always made people a lot of money. So that's a good thing. But the other side of it is you got a responsibility to those people that you took your money from. Kind of like I was saying about EOS and Block One. Block One took the money, but the EOS really hasn't performed. So now we have to go back and we have to ask, why isn't it performing? You got a lot of money. Are you going to use some of this money to help it perform better? Or are you just going to say, hey, we don't care because we're different. That's them. This is us. We did something. But no, there's going to be a relationship there because you did raise the money. Anytime you raise money from somebody, you have a duty, a fiduciary. It's a legal responsibility to do something positive with the money. And that's the way it is when you have this money. And that's what I'm saying. Michael Saylor may become one of the most hated men on Wall Street. Or not at Wall Street, one of the most hated men in the world of corporate CEOs, because he did something with the money. He did really well with the money. He took the money and made it into a lot more money. I don't know how many times. I don't know where exactly he bought Bitcoin. I think it was around 10,000, and it's at 30 up to 40. So you can see how much money he made the investors. And he bought what? I don't know how much he bought. I forget the numbers now, but he bought a lot of Bitcoin. From the treasury stock and the balance sheet about the Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin went up in value, so it made the investors a lot of money, made the stock go up. People are very happy with him. Now, he's setting the standard for other CEOs. So other CEOs don't do what Michael Saylor does. Do the shareholders have a cause of action against that CEO? I don't know. But I'm saying he's setting the standard. So he's saying, I'm thinking we just can't sit around and do nothing with this money. We have to do something with it. So Michael Saylor may be somebody people don't like very well, especially if you're a CEO, and you have to come up with creative ways to do something with the money that you've raised, that people are expecting returns on because they bought your stock. They invested in your idea. They invested in you. And now you need to come up with something like what Michael Saylor did, which is think about Bitcoin. And it's interesting to me because I've listened to a lot of Michael Saylor's interviews too, and he said 6 months ago, 9 months ago, whenever, before he bought the Bitcoin, he didn't even know what it was, but he knew he had to do something. He didn't know what Bitcoin was, but he started to see the writing on the wall. He started seeing that there was a lot of money creation, not only in the United States but around the world. So he was trying to figure out a way to keep up with that money creation, and of course that's how, through some ways, some maybe back thinking of, wow, somebody said something about this thing called Bitcoin. Maybe I should check it out. Maybe I should think about that, and he kind of, figured it out. And the guy's a very smart guy. And he was able to kind of go in there and realize, hey, I better put some money in Bitcoin because I think it's going to go up. And if it goes up, it's going to help the value of my company, which make everybody happy with me. And he did it. And of course, he's done very well. So. And that's the point. The point is he may be setting the standard for everybody else that needs to do equally as well, or their shareholders are going to be unhappy with him. So back to this idea of Block One setting on $8 billion worth of Bitcoin, EOS token, undervalued, really not meeting its potential or have meeting its potential. Where's that? How's that all going to fizzle out? How's that all going to fare? How's that all going to materialize? I don't know, but I do believe there's a play there, and I personally am thinking about shaving a little bit of money, to EOS. Just a little bit. Throw a little bit of money EOS right now. At $2 and some cents, because I do think there's a play there. Is there a play that's going to be happening anytime soon? No, but I like the idea of buying this token at $2.69, and that this company that has some relationship to EOS, we haven't really completely defined what that relationship is, and everybody's kind of trying to figure out what that relationship is. But I kind of like the idea that this kind of supporter of EOS, Block One, has $8 billion worth of Bitcoin. I kind of like that idea. I like the idea that this token is so undervalued at $2.69, and that this company that has some relationship to this token has $8 billion, $10 billion, however many billion dollars, but they own a lot of Bitcoin. And it's not the billions of dollars of Bitcoin, it's the number of Bitcoin they own. I can't remember exactly how many it is, but it's a bunch. So I like the idea of having a little bit of an idea of, this idea of maybe buying some Bitcoin real cheap here through EOS. So yeah, I think there's a play here. And I think that's a reason to be interested in EOS at this time. I think there's a play. I think there's something that could be going on here. A couple other things. I said I was going to talk a little bit outside the box, and I am, because I'm going to talk about a few things I've been thinking about. Dan Larimer. Of course, we know that Dan Larimer left EOS.io when he said he wasn't going to, or Block One. I think that there could be, and I'm sure I'm the first person to say this, that there could be a possibility that he was pushed out, that he didn't leave on his own volition, that he didn't leave voluntarily, that maybe he was kind of said, you may need to go. I have no reason, nothing outside of my own intuition and my own kind of, what would you say, hunch. That's a possibility. And now you ask the question, why would Dan Larimer be asked to leave Block One? Because it's, it's basically his idea. Dan is kind of a rigid guy. He's a hardcore libertarian. He seems like he's pretty stubborn about his belief systems. And maybe EOS.io or EOS, the blockchain, maybe they need to be a little more flexible in the way they were thinking. And of course, he really was the identity of the EOS, and maybe they needed to get rid of that identity. And maybe we're giving Dan a hard time, and we really shouldn't be. Maybe behind the scenes, Dan was said, "Hey, we need to part ways, and we need to find another identity for EOS." And maybe Dan wasn't that identity, so there could be a possibility Dan was asked to leave, or Dan left because, and maybe Dan wanted to leave because he could see this is the direction it's going, and maybe he just didn't want to be involved with this responsibility of, we have $8 billion worth of Bitcoin, and now we have a token that's underperforming. I don't want to be the reason for this because I'm the chief technical officer. I don't want to have to think about this. I don't want to have to be worried about it. And I'm going to make some pretty good bucks here if I just split. And maybe they're saying, yeah, it's a good time for you to leave because we are going to have to change our identity, and maybe we have some other, ways we could use this computer or use this software, and we need to think about it another way. So I'm thinking possible that Dan wasn't just running out on the project, but Dan may have been better for everybody, all parties. And like I say, I have no tweets, no social media, nothing to tell me that nobody said that to me or anything like that. I mean, I'm just kind of hunting. That's a hunch. I could be completely wrong. But Dan could just decide he just had enough and just decided to bail on the project, or he could have been asked to leave, one or the other. But I don't know. I'm not so sure that there was, people can really, if you become too opinionated or too hard on certain issues, and you start to alienate people or make people feel like you're not open to, you're not thinking outside the box or doing things that would maybe create some other opportunities, you may alienate yourself to the point where people don't want you around anymore. Maybe that's could have been the system or the reason for Dan. When you get some, and that's just kind of what I'm thinking, possibility. And I've been going on here for a while, and I've kind of been talking about a lot of stuff, but I'm going to kind of try to wrap this up. I haven't really been reading the comments. I might go back and read these comments here real quick. But it says, I'd like to see what the EOS San Diego has reached the denial stage. That's a classic. Who, I'm not even going to try it. It's Try Wyani. I don't know. Who knows how to pronounce people's names? That I'm in denial that I've so gone down the road of being a loyalist to EOS that now I'm in denial of how rotten the project really is. So I love it. I love it. I mean that right there. That comment pretty much it's funny that I read the comment right when I read the comment. I read the comment. And that's the comment I read because that's pretty much what everybody tells me, that I'm in denial of the fact that EOS is a failure, that I just won't let go of this thing. I've been doing it for 3 years. I'm probably one of the few YouTubers still putting EOS videos up, and that I just somehow can't let it go, and that I'm hanging on to the bitter end, even though it's a $2.69 project, when everything else is exploding, including Bitcoin and Ethereum and our good friends at Cardano. I mean, everything else is going up, but EOS continues to meander. I'm going to talk about that for 1 second. First of all, I'm going to say a couple things. The world isn't black and white, and not everything is as it appears. And there could be things going on. There's a couple things that are very interesting to me about EOS. The very interesting thing to me about EOS, one of the things is that they were able to get a Security and Exchange waiver for their ICO. And the fact that they did it preemptively, they did it ahead of everybody else. They did it when they really didn't have to. I mean, you raised $4 billion, and why do you want to open that can of worms? Why do you want to go back, especially if they haven't sued you or they really haven't said anything about it? Why do you go back and do that? Maybe because there was something already thought out about. Maybe some arrangement already made. Maybe somebody said, look, we like you. We like what you're doing. We have plans for you. But you're going to have to fix a couple things. Go back and fix the Security and Exchange issue. Go negotiate with them. Go hire yourself the best law firm in the country, the Cooley Law Firm out of Los Angeles, and get them to negotiate an agreement or waiver. And we want you to do that because we have big plans for you. And so that's one thing to ponder, to pontificate on. The second thing is, why does Google care about being a block producer for EOS? 21 block producers. Mostly, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but mostly unknown people block producing. Not big companies, not, big names, just some really some technically capable people that were running nodes that got interested in it. Most of them came from Steemit. Most of them had been following Dan's projects. Decided to run a node, to become block producers. Why does a company like Google care? Why do they want to become a block producer on the ESIO blockchain? And of course, I know that they are because I've talked to EOS Nation. EOS Nation has verified to me that they're building it out. If they're doing it right now or not, they're there. And of course, EOS Nation is the number one block producer. They're in the inside. They know what's going on. And I'm comfortable with that. Talked to Stefan Bison. I know that they're doing it. And Stefan has contacted me back and appreciated the fact that I mentioned them and said, thanks for giving us because those guys are great guys. I wouldn't think of, if I had to think of anybody I would trust the chain to, it would be EOS Nation up in Canada. So yeah, I'm contacted, so I know that Google's involved. Why is Google involved? Why did they get a waiver? There's plans for EOS. There is plans for EOS to be something in the future. And it could be bigger than I made the speculation it could be running bank transactions. But But you have to get these validators. You have to get these node, the people that are running a node. You got to get them up to speed. You got to get them so you can trust them. Well, who do you get? You get the most trusted people in the world to run it. You get somebody like Google. So there's something going on with EOS more than meets the eye. This is not black and white. There's something else going on here. I think Dan stepping aside is another thing that kind of makes me think there's something else going on here. You got some of the most with Peter Thiel, Mike Novogratz. You got some people that are ground floor people that have thrown some weight behind EOS. I don't care how you want to say it. I've said it both ways, and I'll continue to say it both ways. I don't even know how to say it. EOS, or whatever you want to say. But they've thrown some weight behind this. These people they're connected. They know what's going on. So there's stuff going on here. So these people, like the person I just said, you're in denial. You don't know. You just don't want to give it up. There's something going on here. Maybe I am in denial, but there's something going on. You just the planets are too much in alignment here for this just to all be random. You don't get Google. You don't get the Security and Exchange Commission. Those are two people that you don't just move whenever you want to move. You don't get the Security and Exchange Commission with all the power, weight, and authority of the U.S. government just to give up on something unless they want to make a deal. They don't have to make a deal. They got all the time and all the money in the world, and they've got people that work for the Security and Exchange Commission they'll spend their careers working on negotiating a settlement. And they're going to get paid, and they're going to get their retirement, and they're going to live life. And it's not going to affect them if EOS gets the waiver or doesn't get the waiver, because life goes on. I mean, this is one of the things where you always say, look, if you get in trouble with the law, you never really want to get in trouble with the law, because you know what? The law has endless resources. So if they want to go after you, they'll go after you. And they're going to go after you with all the time and all the money, because it's a public funded, people work for the government. They're on a salary. They go home. They have families. They have incomes. They have retirements, and they have everything like that. They don't have to settle. They can drag this thing on forever. But they settled. And that's kind of weird that happened. The other thing that happened is Google's not looking for anybody to do business with like this. They don't need to go in and be one of 21 block producers. They don't have to do it. Google doesn't need to be involved with EOS. EOS is a gnat compared to Google. They don't exist compared to Google. Why does Google want to throw in, and not throw in as we're going to buy EOS Block 1 and the open source software. We're going to come in and basically take the company, which is what they would do normally. But no, they're coming in as a block producer, one of 21. And they're not even in the top 21. Why are they doing this? This is something strange, out of the box. This is out of the box thinking. Google is involved with EOS, and this is a real story. It's not, well, they may be, and I thought that for a while. I thought maybe, but then I saw the press releases, and I saw this is really Google. And then now Stephen Bison says, yeah, this is Google. They're the block producers. EOS Nation confirms them. They're the number one block producer. So this is real. There's something going on with EOS. Something going on with it. If it happens today, tomorrow, a month, a year, 10 years, 5 years, I don't know. But something is going on. My intuition tells me something's going on. My 3 years of every day watching this project tells me something's going on. But there's something going on with this. And it's not just, hey, you're in denial about the project and you should give it up. In fact, I don't know what you're going to give it up for. I mean, Cardano isn't even running yet. Most of the other blockchains are kind of running on another blockchain. I mean, a lot of the blockchains are running on Ethereum. And of course, we know Ethereum isn't scaling, or probably never will scale. And a lot of the blockchains that people say you need to jump to, or you need to move to, or you need to go someplace else or do something else, they're running on blockchains that aren't scaling, or they're yet to be launched, or they're still trying to figure out, some technical issue that they haven't solved yet. Now with EOS, they are running. We are a project literally running on the EOS blockchain right now as we speak. And there aren't any technical problems. It's working. And it runs very well. So why would we be jumping around to blockchains that aren't working? And really the only argument against EOS is the underperforming token price. That's it. It's $2.69, and I believe at one time it was almost $22. Let's take a look. The all-time high. And this is the reason people want to say that this is actually it was clear up here at what was it, 20? It's hard to get on, but I think it was close to $22, $23. So, and look at where it's at now. So you can see that it had a huge bump, and now it's been basically it's been terrible. And of course, it's been terrible while a lot of other stuff has been going up. So it's been horrible. But still, there's some stuff going on with EOS. It doesn't quite make sense to me. And of course, the fact now that Block One has $8 billion worth of Bitcoin kind of really makes it interesting. So yeah, there's something going on here. I would like to think that, it's going to surprise a lot of people. And I believe it is. And as I say, we are running on the EOS blockchain. Our token, of course, it trades. We're basically limited on where we're trading right now because of the fact that we have limited liquidity for our token. I mean, we're on decentralized exchange, which is Nudex, which is a great exchange. We love Nudex. Can't be happier with Nudex, but you're talking about not a lot of people are on Nudex. We're limited as far as where our token's being traded at. That's the one thing we're really, really trying to get going. But as far as the app is going, app works wonderfully. In fact, I was going to bring this up here. I actually wanted to thank somebody because I read this last night. We're giving out rewards. We have challenges. There's a couple people, and I'm thinking about throwing out a challenge too. If you can get us on one of the big exchanges, that we will reward you with cryptocurrency. How much cryptocurrency, I don't know. And of course, that's up to the person that creates the challenge, how much they want to give out. We have one right now, Shamu, who his 100 EOS. If you get him on a big exchange, he's going to give you 100 EOS. Like I say, we have no idea where EOS is going to. EOS is connected to Block One. It's got $8 billion worth of Bitcoin. So he's going to give you 100 EOS if you get us on an exchange. That's a pretty good deal, in my opinion, if you could get it done. I'm thinking about doing something much bigger than that. I actually even talked about a lot more than that. So we're trying to get on a bigger exchange. But in the meantime, a lot of people are doing a lot of great things with it. And one of the things that I read last night was this person is working on getting CHL, which is our challenge token, that's the symbol for our challenge, to Prius.com. This means CHL may be able to be traded for gift cards for major companies like Amazon and Airbnb. So this is something that people are doing with our token. So you can use our token and get a gift card and then use it to buy stuff from Amazon or Home Depot or Airbnb or stuff like that. So this is the kind of thing, the creativity thing that's going on with our token, which is trading at hundredths of a penny. So we're, I think our market cap is like 77 or $80,000. Let me see what it is. Go to Nudex. So we've got this great application It's trading at hundredths of a penny, of which people are coming up with ideas like how to use this to buy gift cards to go and purchase stuff on Amazon and stuff like that. So this is the potential here. There's incredible potentials. So, and it's running on right now, it's running on the EOS software, which is what people are saying is valueless. I'm in denial as far as even thinking it's ever going to do anything. But you got these kind of ideas being built, these kind of ideas being thought out. And I don't know why I'm not connecting, but it doesn't look like I'm connecting. Oh, here we go. So where are we at right now? We'll just look at, I haven't even looked at our token recently because I didn't look at it today, but let's see where we're at. We're up a little bit today, but look at what we're trading. We're looking at, of course, they always traded against another token, which makes it hard to figure out exactly what it is in dollars and cents. But, there's a little bit of volume there. We're up 14% in the last 24 hours. And it's trading hundredths of a penny. I'll have to figure out exactly how much it is in dollars and cents and not trading against another cryptocurrency. I think we got it trading against EOS right now. But, well, let's look at let's just look at the market cap. And they finally got the circulation supply in correct. And I think this would be like circulating value. I don't know what 0.04 million is. But it's well, let's just go to CoinGecko. That's the easier way to do it. CoinGecko right there. And just type in CH. And we're also on CoinMarketCap, so we're on both good places to be to look up and track this. But look at this. We're up 11%, but look at we got a market cap of $76,000, which is nothing for an application running on one of the few applications that is in the entire world running on a blockchain. That's people are working on creating value with so that you can use it on a website to buy a gift card to use to trade with Amazon and things like that. And you can literally buy this for hundreds of a penny with a market cap of $76,000. And it's working. It all works. So this is incredible. Undervalued, like incredibly undervalued. Incredibly undervalued. Not to, toot our own horn, or not to say that this is because we're not here for the immediate, price appreciation. Like I talked to people before, this is years for us to ever even get back the money we've put into it already. We're so far down, but it's working and it's all working. And this is what I'm saying when people say, "Hey, you're in denial and there's nothing with CHL, nothing with EOS." No, there is. This is working. We've got somebody working on stuff to get so you can buy gift cards to interact with big companies, and also so that you can trade this cryptocurrency on exchanges around the world and exchange value for value and stuff like that, and have an application where you can actually get work done. I can challenge you to do something and get you to literally do something for me by extending in a smart contract the offer of a payment, which is a cryptocurrency, through our challenge application, our challenge app. So yeah, this is stuff that's working. So I'm going to read, and thanks, Brian. I love Brian. Brian's one of the greatest guys in the world. You've been around forever, and you've been a great supporter of ours, and I really appreciate it. Good to see you, Brian. So I'm going to just read through a few of these. I'm going to scan a few of these comments because I'm getting ready to end this broadcast. But I'm just going to scan a few of them. Kent, have you compared DeFi on EOS versus Ethereum fees, transaction speeds? Yeah, go to the DeFi. There's a YouTube channel. I can't remember what it is right now, but it talks about all the DeFi projects running. Almost every single DeFi project's running on Ethereum right now. And of course, we all know what's going on with Ethereum: gas fees, how quickly the speed of the blockchain is, transactional speed, all this stuff. Of course, Vitalik keeps coming up with new solutions, but it's a very difficult problem to fix. And I don't know that it even can be fixed. If you can get Ethereum to to work transactionally fast enough for it to handle a large volume of transactions, I don't know if it can ever get to work or not. And DeFi has to have a lot of transactions for it to work. So, yeah. I mean, everything is on Ethereum right now. Your challenge DApp could be the best solution for the worker proposal system in EOS. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is the ideas are endless. Think of the blockchain as a world computer that will fix a lot of problems. Right now, we're so focused on blockchain as a means of currency through digital currency because of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin being a store of value, and of course, Bitcoin being the best solution there is as far as money. Interesting. I listened to someone and their explanation. I think maybe it was even Elon Musk. That explanation for money is value stored on a database. So all money is a spreadsheet, literally an Excel spreadsheet. That's what money is on a database. And the open ledger, of course, Bitcoin being the open ledger, is just a distributed spreadsheet. So everybody's got a copy of it. So that's what money is. So, but think that's the way we kind of think about blockchain today. But think about blockchain as being a world computer, distributed world computer that runs everything, runs AI, runs. Everybody's talking about voting, how voting is a big mess, whether the election was honest or not. We could put voting on the blockchain. I think I listened to that on one of the podcasts I listened to. We could run everything from the blockchain, literally distributed database, an Excel spreadsheet, literally on hundreds and thousands of computers around the world that all connect to one another. A world brain. So that's what we are dealing with when you're dealing with blockchain. You're dealing with a world brain. The possibilities are endless, to driving autonomous vehicles, to voting, to our ability to exchange value with cryptocurrencies and trade back and forth, all done on a blockchain. A worldwide computer, a world brain. That's what the blockchain is. Endless possibilities. We're just in the infancies of this. We're just starting. We're in the very, very beginnings of this world brain that's being developed right now. And that's what the blockchain is. That's what this technology is that we're talking about today. It's literally a smart way of running the world, an intelligent way of running the world, a democratic way of running the world. The way the world has been worked in the past is by dictatorships, by people imposing their force on other people, by governments like, the Third Reich, Adolf Hitler wanting to rule the world. And what did he do? He went into Eastern Europe. He went throughout Europe and he tried to conquer the world militarily. But I'm talking about setting up a system for the world to be run democratically, or run via the ability for people to vote, for people to have their say, but intelligently, worldwide, on a blockchain, on a world computer, on something where we all can interact like I'm interacting with you today. My very first comment was from somebody from Iran. I'm in Southern California. I'm in San Diego, California. I'm interacting with somebody that's watching from Iran. I'm in California. We're interacting by this internet, this worldwide vehicle that we're using to talk back and forth, or for him to listen and me to get his comment. The comments I'm getting can be from all over the world. I don't know. I haven't looked at them yet. But this is extraordinary stuff, extraordinary times. And there's a world computer going on. And that's what we're setting up, and that's what we're doing. There's no way for this to happen. Another interesting thing. I was listening to Elon Musk talk about PayPal, and he said originally his idea of PayPal was that he wanted he understood money as just being a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, and that it was just being run on a database. So it was digital, was on a computer, but you could, it was, you know, money in Iran or money in the United States was all just on a computer. It was on a database, a singular, or actually, the way it runs today is a real mess because the way it's run today, it's run through different banks and different systems of exchange, and it just, wire transfers and all kinds of weird stuff. So it's very inefficient, takes time, it's expensive, it's not trusted. You can't send money to somebody and not know that the person you send the money to is actually the person you meant it to go to. You don't know, if it's being diverted to somebody else. So it's a real kind of untrusted system. You can find that out if you try to send money to somebody in the world that you've never sent money to before. It's going to take time. There's delays. There's all kinds of. You need a more efficient way of doing that, and that's what Elon Musk wanted PayPal to be. So his idea was he wanted a way to transact through a database, but he wanted a singular database. He wanted PayPal to be the one database that ran all world transactions, which is very interesting because that's what his idea of PayPal was, is to be a singular database for all transactions. Maybe not for all. Maybe I'm overstating what he was saying, but what he was saying is I want to run it on this one database. Google's run on a one database, even though it's a big company, multiple servers all over the world. But basically, it's one entity siloed. What I'm talking about, and the way I think the world runs in the future, is it runs on this structure of everybody being able to run the same open source software where we're all being able to get a copy of what everybody else is doing and then to be able to add our share. And that was kind of the envision of what Elon was doing with PayPal, but he wanted to do it in his own little world with his own singular database, whereas the blockchain is the distributed ledger, the distributed database, all the databases. And of course, then comes in, the ability to the cryptography and the ability to, be private too, to have the blockchain, but to also to have the blockchain to be able to be accessible by everybody, but to be able to have, access through your own little private key, your private way of interacting with this worldwide computer. So I'm going to read through these because I've already gotten some pretty good comments here, and I'd like to see what everybody else says. Okay, so the worker proposal system. Yes, now is the time to sell your EOS. Here we go again. Now is the time. And this is I'm going to talk about that because that's basically the sentiment of almost everybody I talk to is sell your EOS. I would argue, and of course I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I'm just one person voicing my opinions, but my opinion is this would probably be the worst time in the ever to sell your EOS. That's my singular opinion, backed by nothing more than my own understandings of the project and my own experiences with the project. But I would literally say that this is the worst time ever. If you wanted to sell EOS, this would be the absolute bottom worst, horrible time to sell EOS. And for everything I've talked about for the last probably hour and a half here, the fact that they've got a lot of Bitcoin, one's got a lot of Bitcoin, and the fact that there's got Google coming on and stuff, it's just, this would be the absolute worst time to sell EOS. If you hate it, if you love it, if you don't love it, whatever, I don't care. If you own some EOS and you're not starving to death, or you're not, possibly in some financial difficulty that could cost you life and limb, I certainly wouldn't be selling EOS. I'd tell you this would be the bottom worst time to sell EOS I could probably imagine. Okay, FYI, yes, I was offering free training through March. Yeah, I mean, you need people. This is the thing. Since I'm rambling, I might as well just keep on rambling. I listened to Ray Lewis, which is a football player. I understand a little bit about football. I'm not a huge football fan, but I understand. And the reason I follow a guy like Ray Lewis is because Ray Lewis was a great football player out of the University of Miami. The reason I followed that is because I went to the University of Nebraska, and of course, Miami and Nebraska had some really good football games. But he was talking about why is a guy like Tom Brady so good? What makes him so good? He's not the most athletic guy in the world. It's not fast. In fact, he's probably one of the slowest quarterbacks to ever play the position. He's not strong. Um, he doesn't have a cannon for an arm. What makes this guy so good? And Ray Lewis said the reason that the guy is so good is because he puts a lot of time into understanding what the defenses that he's facing are going to do. So he made this comparison, this analogy. He said, look, a lot of these guys in the NFL, these DBs, these defensive backs that are going up against Tom Brady, will say we're gonna beat the and I know he's not paying for the Patriots anymore, but let's just say we're gonna beat the Patriots, and maybe they're having a good year. This particular DB had a lot of interceptions, and he says this week we're gonna take down the New England Patriots, and make it public so Brady hears it. And Ray Lewis is saying, hey, before you make some statement like that, realize that while you're going to the club tonight, Brady's going to be clicking, which means he's going to be at home with his film study, with his clicker, and he's going to be winding and rewinding our defense that you're playing on, and he's going to be looking at you, and he's going to be figuring out a way to attack you. He's going to be figuring out a way to throw the ball so that you can't get it, so that his receiver can get it and you can't get it. And he is the guy that's going to sit down and study you for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to figure out how to beat you. And he's not going to beat you because he's so physically or so athletically gifted. He's going to beat you because he studied you. And he's going to be able to figure out what your weaknesses are and be able to understand how to defeat your weaknesses, because he's going to be clicking. Ray Lewis says it's so funny because he says he's going to be clicking. He's going to be going forward, backwards. He's going to be watching you. He's going to be seeing which side you step with. He's going to be seeing which way you run better, or how you run better this way, that way, or everything about you. He's getting, and he says, and what you're going to do is you're going to go out to the club tonight. So while you're partying, he's going to be watching film. So before you call him out and say, you're going to beat the Patriots this week, this Sunday, you better realize what you're saying. This guy's going to be studying you. He's going to be thinking about you. And he's been doing this for years. This is how he beats people. He beats people because he sits there and he studies them and he thinks about it. And he sits there and he says he's got his butt in a chair, and he's willing to put his butt in a chair for the hours that it takes to understand how you play and figure out how you play and how to beat you. And that's the way this is. If you're going to be in this world today, you're going to have to sit down and study it a little bit. And you're going to have to figure out how this works. And you're going to have to be like Brady with the film. You're going to have to sit there and you're going to be clicking forward and backwards. And it's like me. I'm not saying that I'm the greatest student in the world. In fact, I'm probably a horrible student as far as being a student in the world of sitting down and taking an exam or learning something. But the stuff that I find interesting, I like to study. And the way I like to study it is I like to watch. I do my film study by watching YouTube, watching information about the blockchain, watching information about how, systems work, things work, how AI works, how the blockchain works, how all this stuff works. You're going to have to put your butt in a chair and sit down and think about this stuff and sort it out in your mind and do the film study. That's what makes that's what separates people like, players like Tom Brady versus somebody else. It's like I think these films are widely known. A guy goes in one of the last quarterbacks picked in that draft, but he becomes the greatest quarterback of all time. Has none of the things that you look for when you're trying to figure out if an athlete is going to make it or not. It's not fast. It's not strong. Doesn't throw really far, really. But the guy works, and he works at it. And you're gonna have to work at this a little bit. So yeah, you're gonna have to sit down. You're gonna have to spend some time thinking about this. And so that's why I always say to people when you tell me, you say, sell EOS. It's a dead project. You're saying that from a perspective of studying it, of thinking about it, of making videos about it, of doing research. I mean, where's your analysis? I got your conclusion. Your conclusion is it's a bad project, and maybe your only conclusion is a bad project because it doesn't trade very well, because it's trading horribly. And I'm going to be the first one to admit that it trades horribly right now. It's trading horribly right now at $2.68. That's horrible. So if that's your only analysis is that it's trading horrible, that's not very good film study. You need to give me more film study than that. You need to give me more analysis. You need to sit down and think about it a little harder and tell me why it's trading at $2.68 and why is it never going to go higher. And it can't go higher. Now, there would be some reasons why I would say EOS is basically would never do anything. And I would say if it didn't work, if I would sit there and say, we've been working on our application for 2 years now, and we've spent a lot of money, and it doesn't work, and we can't get, it goes down all the time and everything. If it didn't work, I would say, your analysis of $2.68 for the project of the software has no value because we can't run an application and it doesn't work, and the block producers, they can't figure it out. Nobody figures it. Yeah, then you got a problem. But that's not the problem. That's the problem is the fact that thing doesn't work. It works. And I will not only state that it works, I will say it works better than anything else. It works better than Ethereum. It works better than all the others. It works faster than all the others. If you want to make these arguments that it's not decentralized because there's 21 block producers, you can make that argument. But as far as blocktivity is concerned, as far as the speed of the blockchain and the transactions that it can run, and the resources that it uses to run those transactions are very, very efficient and very economical. From that analysis, it's a great blockchain and it works very well. So when you just say go away, just it's no good, throw it away, that's coming from like this young defensive back saying, I'm calling Brady out. I'm going to tell Tom Brady, I'm just going to beat you. We're going to beat you this weekend. But unless you're willing to sit down in the chair and with the clicker, like Ray Lewis says, and click back and forth and study every movement that the defensive back makes and understand everything that the person does and how they do it and figures the weaknesses out and picks them apart. And that's how he throws the passes so that they can't catch him. Throws it in a particular spot that the defensive back can get. Unless you're willing to do that, then you're not, you're just talking. You're not backing it up. You got to back it up. And the only way to back it up is to come up with some ideas or some analysis of why this is a crappy product and why you got to get rid of it. And so far, nobody's given me some good analysis of why EOS is a crappy product and you need to get rid of it. I don't see that. And I'm telling you, from our vantage and from our perspective and from our building on it and using it and interacting with it and all the stuff that we do, I'm saying it's completely undervalued. And that there's something big going to happen with EOS someday. When? I don't know. And then you throw in all these intangibles about the $8 billion worth of Bitcoin. I guess it's not an intangible, it's intangible. But as far as it's intangible, as far as how that's actually going to work out for the value or the token, the price of the token, how that works, I don't know. But there's something going on there. There's a relationship between the $8 billion worth of Bitcoin they own and the EOS token. There's a relationship there that needs to be investigated and thought of and studied because there could be a play. So yeah, when you just say, hey, it's no good, it's get rid of it. That's like the DB saying I'm just going to beat Brady. But Brady's going to be sitting there playing with the clicker, watching film while you're going to be where? at the club. Doing what? Partying. What's Brady going to be doing? He's going to be home in his study watching film. So that's why he's the greatest. That's why he's the greatest, because he's willing to invest in what he's doing. He's willing to do that. And, it's like Ray Lewis said. Ray Lewis said, these guys made me do the same thing. In order to beat Tom Brady, I had to sit down and set my butt in a chair and spend hours and hours and hours and hours figuring him out, just like he had to sit down and spend hours and hours and hours figuring me out. So who's going to do that? Who's going to sit down and figure this out? I will tell you, the reason I started this channel, EOS San Diego, isn't because I thought that it was going to make a lot of money at it. It wasn't because I thought I was just, it was going to be, something that was just going to be a lot of fun or anything like that. I did it because I was interested and I was curious. And I did it because I wanted to force myself, just like Tom Brady watching film. I want to force myself to have to think about this every day, because I was going to have to create content for people that wanted to follow the project. And the only way to do that was for me to have to sit down, set my butt in a chair and go online and figure it out. And the more I figured out, the more I was going to be able to help other people understand it. And it was going to, and I did it kind of selfishly. I was selfish about it because I was interested in it, and I wanted to have a way to get me motivated. And a way for me to get motivated is to create content for people to watch. And as you could look at my channel today, it doesn't even have just slightly below 5,000 subscribers. That's a small channel. Literally, very small amounts of money have ever come to me. I have a video, and I don't remember many people watch all my videos, but I have a video where I show how to put air in a tire that's got over 250,000 views. That video has done much better than any of my blockchain videos. But the blockchain videos have taken 99% of my time. The 5 minutes it took me to show you how to put air in a tire just took me no time. But I knew how to put air in a tire because I grew up on a farm, so it meant nothing to me. But what I'm saying is, I've had to sit down here and study this thing to be able to speak about it. And I've done this. So that's why I speak from the point I speak of, is because I don't think this is the time to sell your EOS token. And I do think that there is some stuff going to be happening in the future with EOS because of the time I've put in studying this, selfishly, because I was interested in it myself. And I did something to create, to kind of force myself into doing this. And this is why I've done it. And this is why I'm doing it. So I'm talking to you right now. So, okay, so let's see. Let's talk about some of these other comments. Didn't Dan hint at a financial product, perhaps KYC restrictions killed it? Yeah, Dan's hinted at a lot of stuff. And Dan isn't there anymore. So whatever Dan does or says or whatever he thinks is there. My only point about Dan right now is, was Dan asked to leave? Forced to leave? Did he leave on his own? Or what's the black backstory? What's and I'm openly speculating. I have nothing to gauge that out on other than my hunch. My personal, and I'll just give you, as long as I'm talking, we'll just keep on talking. My personal feelings about Dan Lammers is a pretty straightforward guy, and not only a pretty straightforward guy, a pretty trustworthy kind of person. The kind of guy that you would say, I don't expect Dan to be a man not true to his word. That was my original opinion of Dan. Of course, I made a lot of videos about that. So the fact that he went against what he said and left makes me think that maybe there's a backstory here that we don't know about. That maybe Dan, with his rigidness of being a libertarian, didn't fit the project anymore. Maybe there needed to be more KYC with EOS for them to progress to the next level, and Dan didn't fit that. So maybe everybody just decided it was better for Dan to leave. And Dan publicly says, I'm just leaving because I don't, but maybe it was that he had to leave because he just didn't fit the way the thing was going. And actually, the KYC is going to have to become part of this. I mean, you're going to have to know your customer a little bit. We just can't anonymously be having huge transactions throughout the world without there being some way of being able to attach somebody to that. That's why the idea that Elon Musk thinks that Bitcoin is something for the dark web or the Silk Road is ridiculous. I mean, for the fact that he even said that makes me wonder, where he's at, what he's even thinking about this. Because, that's, you're going to have to, there's going to have to be some accountability. You have to be able to eliminate the bad actors. You have to be able to have some way it's a world computer, it's a world brain, but you just can't have everybody be anonymous on this world brain. There's going to have to be some way of identifying people to a certain extent. And I know that violates a lot of people's feelings that the blockchain could be used for nefarious purposes. But anything could be used for nefarious purposes. It's like I was listening to one of this somebody, and they were saying that every system. I mean, we don't know why we think the way we think. We think the reason why we in the United States of America are a capitalist system, is because of the writings of the philosophers and the thinkers like Adam Smith. Like Adam Smith. The free market people, and basically they came up with the idea that man should be able to be given the work of his, rewarded with his own work, his labors. So in other words, if you go out and work for a day, you should be able to keep it. It shouldn't go to the king, or it shouldn't go to the royalty or whoever it is that. So they're trying to think of a way of coming up with a capitalist system, so you'd be able to keep the work that you worked for. That's a capitalist system, and that's a great system, and it's made an industrial power like the United States of America made a great country, but it also doesn't factor in some of the nefarious evilness that runs in a system like that, where you got people that want to take advantage of other people. So in other words, if you should get the works of your own labor, so if you should go out and you can pick apples from a tree, you can have all the apples you can pick, and you should be able to get rewarded those apples. But if you want to go steal the apples from somebody else, then there's going to have to be a system in place where you have to play fair. And who's going to run the system where you play fair? If you play fair, there's going to have to be some sort of governmental system that makes sure that you're not going over and beating somebody over the head to collect their apples. You should be able to be rewarded with your own apples, but also be able to, you shouldn't be able to go over and steal somebody else's apples. So you're going to have somebody that's going to have to be able to enforce those rules. So, and that's why, we have governments. There's certain things that have to be handled. That's what the blockchain is. Can't just be this, Wild West where everybody, nobody knows who anybody else is. We have to have some way of being able to identify people, and have some ways of being able to have some way of identifying the bad people that are doing things and being able to keep them off, and not only be able to keep them off, but be able to recover what they've taken. I mean, the early days of EOS, I used to have to make these videos, and I hated them, where somebody had lost EOS because somebody had hacked their private key, or hacked their account, taken their EOS and run away with it. And there it was on a blockchain, but nobody could get it back. You have to have some ways. And I mean, I think Dan envisioned that, but there has to be some ways of being able to make sure everybody plays fair. How that is established, I don't know. But there will be, some ways of knowing your customer. KYC is what we call it. So anyway, let me go on to these comments. Okay. I have 21 thumbs up. I appreciate that. EOS might be the best risk to rewards out there now. I don't see how the price could go much lower. Now that's a good comment. Andreas, well, I mean, that's exactly right. I think right now the risk to reward, that's a great way of putting it. Risk to reward, the return is much higher than the risk. The potential returns are very, and I think as far as that relationship concerned, there couldn't be a better time. I think that this is absolutely for what you're putting out there. And I'm not saying throw your life savings at this thing. I'm saying if you want to throw, and I'm just saying for a typical person, $300 or $400, $500 at EOS right now, may not be a bad idea. You know, don't throw $500,000 at it. I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying $500, and then forget you own it, and then just forget you own it, and you may be very surprised in 10 years or 5 years what happens. I'm saying that could be, what do I buy? What did I buy the other day? I mean, there's a lot of times I'll do something where I'll buy something I didn't really need, and I'll spend $300 or $400 on it, and I think, why did I do that? And maybe 2 years longer, I give it away, or it breaks and I throw it away. And I'm thinking, why did I spend that $300 or $400, $500 on that thing that I never used? And then a few years later, I just throw it away, or I have to pay somebody to haul it off. And that's what I'm saying. If you're going to do that, if you got $300 or $400 or $500, and it's money that you're not going to really miss, it might not be a bad idea just to throw it at EOS right now and just see what happens. And I think as far as the risk to reward, I think you may be surprised. And I think it may not be a bad idea. So good comment. And I appreciate that comment because that's an intelligent comment. Here's another one. Let's read this one. EOS investors are frustrated with the price action. While other coins are moving, but speed and low fees cannot be denied. KCP RAM are not a small hurdle, but spend $5 and you should be okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you just, and this is Leonard Britt. Yeah, I mean, it's right now, I believe there's a play here. There's a play. Polkadot. I don't know anything about Polkadot, but I'm reading more about it. So I'm going to have to do my film study on Polkadot. I'm going to have to do my Tom Brady on Polkadot. I'm going to have to sit down with the clicker and go through Polkadot. And talking about the clicker and Tom Brady and how he studies defenses, and that's why he's such a great quarterback. I've had to do everything that way. Everything I've learned that way has had to be sit down and learn it. I remember in the early days when I wanted to be I actually wanted, I knew the internet was going to be the only way for the future to happen. The future was going to happen through the internet. I knew that 25 years ago. I knew that. I mean, I was old enough at the time. I'd been a broker, and I knew that the internet was the way it was going to happen. So I knew nothing about the internet, and I had to sit down and study it. Later in time, when I had e-commerce business, and I was one of the first e-commerce people, I should have stuck with it, but I got scared. I got scared when I saw the Amazons of the world, and I started getting scared, thinking that, so I kind of got out of the e-commerce business, and then I got into the web development business. So I started building websites for people, and thinking that I was going to be the guy that sells the website and going to hire somebody through Fiverr or somebody else to build the websites, because I didn't want to really sit down and learn how to build a website. That wasn't really my deal. Even though I had learned how to do that, and then I learned how to do that through real early on, back in 2000, I could build a website through HTML. Even opening up Notebook and just coding out simple HTML and building a website. But I didn't want to really become a web developer. But as time progressed, and I get somebody that would be doing something and they didn't get it completed on time, or it wasn't working, I had to go back and figure out how to fix it. So through doing that, I had to put the film study in, do my Tom Brady, sit down and do the clicker and learn how to do some coding. I didn't really want to learn how to do it because I'm not a mathematical kind of person, but I had to learn that, sit down and do it. But I did it. And I sat down and I learned how to be a basic coder, how to be a basic programmer in the languages that I needed in order to fix the problems that I had to be fixed, which was a great asset to me. It's been a great asset to me in the blockchain, because when I could kind of sit down and understand a lot of the code. because of my time as a developer with working on stuff by going back and having to study. You got to put the time in. You got to sit down and study this stuff. Not that you need to be a coder in order to be investing or buying EOS at $2.68, but it helps to understand how this whole process works. And of course, you know, when I was going to school, we didn't have the internet. When I was going to school, we didn't have personal computers. When I was going to school, we didn't have any of this stuff. So all this stuff I've had to basically learn on the fly. So I didn't just take my life and say, for the next 6 months, I study coding. I had to learn it as I needed to learn it, but I needed to learn it because it was a necessity for me in order to complete things that I had promised. So I had to do the work. So that's the way this all is. You need to sit down and put it together and do the work. So yeah, and I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think today, another kind of interesting thing I get a kick out of is this thing where I see this ad running on YouTube, and it's an ad, and this young lady is sitting there, and the ad starts. It says, "Welcome to your world-class university." And of course, I think it's Penn State, your world-class university education at Penn State University. And she's in her sweatsuit with her feet up on a coffee table, and she's opening up her laptop, and she's getting ready to go to class. And I laugh about that because I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean your world-class education at Penn State? You're on your laptop in your living room getting ready to learn something. Well, that's the way I learned it. You know, I didn't learn coding by going to university. I didn't learn the blockchain by going to university. I learned the blockchain by self-study and by going on the internet. That's why I think the internet's such a valuable tool. And like one of the comments I read here earlier is that EOS is doing some education on the blockchain, on the thing. This is great stuff. People need to learn it. This is the way the world is going. If your kids are interested in succeeding in today's world, steer them in this direction. Steer them into this idea that they need to understand basically the basic structure of how the internet works, the basic structure of how a database works, the basic structure of how the digital world works. I mean, that would be a good thing to get involved with. So let me keep you. So the reason I even brought that up is because of Polkadot. Polkadot. I have to learn Polkadot. I don't know anything about it. I have to sit down. I have to study it because I haven't looked at it. All competitor chains to EOS are trading bad right now. Yeah, I mean, Ethereum really is doing well. I mean, is it up big today? Ethereum. Yeah, God, look at this thing. It just keeps screaming. It's up 12% in the last 7 days. It's up 6% today. So man, Ethereum, or 0.6% would that be? Yeah, so Ethereum, yeah, it's just screaming. People love Ethereum. I myself have never been a big fan of Ethereum. Huge fan of Vitalik. I love Vitalik. I've never been a very big project of Ethereum. I wanted to learn Solidity because that's the language that drives Ethereum, but I never did. Because I just didn't. I'll tell you, probably one of the biggest things that turned me off about Ethereum was just the fact that I did not want to deal with these browser extensions. You know, was it one of the, I can't even remember which one it was the first time I tried to use it, and it was just such a mess. It was just like I did not want to sit down and try to figure it all out. So and then of course EOS just seemed like a simple solution to Ethereum to me. I mean, it's like it was really simple, especially when I looked at the way it looks. It just, you know, and I know Dan can be a little bit complicated with some of the stuff he does, but in my mind, especially with the gas fees and the transactional cost and the ether and all the other stuff, it just EOS just seemed cleaner to me. So that was my take on it. And I think a lot of people they don't really study this and they certainly don't study the technical side of it, because if they study the technical side of it, they would be a little bit more asking a few more questions about Ethereum than they are. So, but Ethereum has been a winner, and I think Ethereum will be a winner and continue to be a winner. I do think, though, personally, that right now EOS has a better risk to reward return than Ethereum. Although Ethereum's never going away. I mean, it's not going to go away. Ethereum's here to stay, and Ethereum's going to do something. There's too many brilliant minds working on Ethereum. Too many people on Ethereum today that are smart and very motivated for that project not to have some huge, to have some huge things happen on it. I mean, huge things. So, FYI, EOS IO is offering free trading. Okay, there we go. That's what I was just talking about. Okay, here we go. Our reading comments I've already read. I'm going to read through some of these comments here real quick. Now is the time to, okay. Yeah, I agree. EOS really hasn't seen a bull market. EOS is a sleeping beast. Thanks, very useful. I appreciate that. Thanks. Hi. Just go to a couple of his recent videos. Okay. I'm not here all the time. Care to share? He covered in another stream. Okay. What are your thoughts on Dan Glammer consistently leaving his projects? I think we already talked about that. I have a question. Next stage in acceptance. Okay, EOS has reached the, okay, I can't. Come join our bullish one. Okay. I'm not, I'm just reading through the comments, see if there's anything here I want to talk about. Yeah. Okay, somebody said Michael Saylor doesn't create anything and shouldn't be compared to someone who creates things we need. Okay, you're probably talking about the fact I'm saying that Saylor bought Bitcoin, whereas Musk is creating value to society by pushing technology nobody else would push because of the cost involved. And he has the resources. I agree. I totally agree. Elon Musk is a person that is pushing technology in every direction possible. I like Elon Musk. I really do. I'm not an anti-Elon Musk person. Yeah, and that's true. Elon is a man of value, not a paper pusher. Believe me, I love that. And I've driven him. I've leased him. The Tesla car, the Model S, I love that car. I don't like the way the newer ones look. The Model S, I think, is a nice one. I don't drive a Model S right now. I'm thinking about perhaps getting another one. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. But I'm just saying that Saylor in my opinion, he did better than Elon's done, because Elon is pushing as an investor, if I'm investing in Tesla or I've invested in MicroStrategies, I think MicroStrategies, even though both was done very, very well, Michael Saylor did the better, more easier move by buying Bitcoin as opposed to pushing technologies that are very expensive to push. Space technology is not cheap. Throwing a rocket into space is not a cheap thing to do. And if it's investor money you're doing it with, you got to be careful. And I don't know, as an investor, I want to risk my money to have a rocket go up in space and, hoping that there's going to be a payday from that someday. I don't know if I'm, as an investor, want the CEO of the company that I entrusted my money with to do that. I'd rather have my CEO be Michael Saylor and just do the Bitcoin play. I'd feel much more comfortable with that than having someone that's just decided to start poking around in space. That was my only point. My point being that Elon Musk is an innovator, but that innovation comes at a very, very steep cost. Whereas Michael Saylor just sat down and did the math and said, hey, I think Bitcoin is a very good idea right now. And I think it's a good idea to put my investors that have entrusted me with their money into this Bitcoin, because I think it's going to be a good return. That was my point. And I'm going to leave you with this final point, since I've rambled on for a long time now. I don't even know how long this is my record longest podcast, or not podcast, whatever you would call it, live stream that I've ever done. I've never done one this long before. Now, in fact, it's so long, I'm not even probably going to go back and watch it to see how it turned out. It's been that long because I got other stuff to do today. But anyway, I will leave you with this before I go. I want to simplify everybody's life. And I'm like everybody else in this world. I've definitely had my share of bad decisions. I did some stupid things. One of the biggest, stupidest things I ever did is got in the restaurant business. And boy, the restaurant people are getting killed right now with COVID. There's a website with a list of number of restaurants here in San Diego County that have closed over COVID, and it's in the hundreds. So I want to share people a lot of. I want to keep people from having to worry and think about stuff that they how to survive. And how not to make the big bad mistakes. Like I just said, I made a lot of mistakes in my life. How to keep people from doing that. How to simplify and make your life easy, and how to not make a lot of mistakes, and how to survive in the future. Because I do think the future is going to be a lot different than it has been, and I think it's going to be more difficult in the future for individuals. Maybe not for certain people that have certain skills. Life may be better, but just for somebody that doesn't really have any direction, or just trying to figure a way what to do with themselves. And I want to make your life easier. I want to simplify your life. And I'm going to leave you with this idea how to do that. How in my opinion to do that. And I think there's a vehicle to do that. And for the first time in my life, I think at the right old age that I'm at right now, that I've come up with that idea. And that idea, and this is simply my opinion only, take it for whatever it's worth, is that by simply investing a small amount of money at a fairly regular, amount, as much as you can afford, into Bitcoin over a period of time, is going to make your life a lot simpler, easier, and give you much more success than about anything else you can do. That's what I'm going to leave you with. If you want to make your life easier, simpler, better over the next series, and I think you've got years, a lifetime to do it, is to simply put a small amount of money on a regular basis into Bitcoin. And I think you're going to be very happy. I literally believe Bitcoin is look at Block One. They're smart guys. They took a bunch of money and put it in Bitcoin. Look what they got now, over $8 billion of Bitcoin. And I'm just saying that if you're, whatever you do, if you work at a McDonald's or an In-N-Out or any other kind of place, take $100 and throw it in Bitcoin every now and then. And just do it over the next few years to see what happens. I think you're gonna be happy. And figure it out. Just, it's so easy to do. Open yourself a Coinbase account and just put a little bit of money into Bitcoin every week, every 2 weeks, every month, however often you can do it. And then don't do anything. Just set on it. See what happens. I do think that that's an easier way than almost anything else you can do. I'm just, like I said, Elon Musk is doing it the hard way. He's pushing technology and spending a lot of money. Michael Saylor's doing it the easy way. He's just buying Bitcoin. I'm just saying, for your own life, do the same thing. Rather than try to say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to invent, start, write, develop, build, beg, borrow, steal, sell, whatever you think you are going to do with your life. Just think about doing a little bit of Bitcoin investing. That's it. You know, and the other thing is, don't waste your time going to something that doesn't give you back a lot for what you put into it. You know, right now, I think going to college, going to school, going to traditional educations is an expensive thing that doesn't give back a big return. You know, rather than go take a college class in anthropology or something like that you need in order to complete a degree, although you have no interest in anthropology, it's just a required course that you need because you got to have a liberal art, well-rounded education. Rather than do that, forget the course, forget the college, take the money that you would have spent in college or course, and buy a little Bitcoin. I think you're going to be happy. I think Bitcoin's always going to do well. I think it'll do well forever. It's always going to bring back a better return than anything else because there's only so many of them. There'll never be any more. It's a proven thing. You know, it's been around for a long time, and it has a lot of value. And I just think it'd make your life simpler. Just buy some Bitcoin and forget you own it. This is an interesting class. What's with 2 pairs of glasses? That's a good point because I got the sunglasses on the head and I got this glasses. People ask me about this all the time. One of the reasons why I do the sunglasses is because I do wear sunglasses outside, and I always lose my sunglasses, so I keep them on top of my head. And the other reason why I do that is because I'm obviously shaved my head, have a big forehead, so I just like the idea. I think I look a little bit less shiny with some sunglasses on my head, other than this big, glaring head. So, and the other thing too is the beard. A lot of people have talked about the beard. I'm 60 years old this year, and so this was a new invention for me because before this I didn't even know I could grow a beard. I was one of these guys that I thought I didn't have a beard until I started growing. So, the sunglasses and the beard are basically just my own identities. That's just who I am. Mel Pierce. I think you've asked me that question before. So yeah, the sunglasses, yeah. And I understand what you're saying, man, because stuff like that bothers me too, people. And as long as I'm just talking, might as well just say, one of the things that bothers me, two things that bother me. One of the things that bothers me is older guys like myself that have lost most of their hair or don't have a lot of hair left that grow it out real long. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, the guys that just don't have a lot of hair, but it's real, maybe it's just the fringe like I have, but they grow it clear down to their shoulders or something like that. I probably look at that the same way as you look at the sunglasses. You just don't think it makes a lot of sense, and it probably doesn't look like what you ideas. It's funny how we think of people that way, how we look at certain people, and we think, the stuff that they do doesn't, in your idea, doesn't look like what. So yeah, I agree. The guys that grow out their hair real long when they don't have a lot of hair left, I've never liked that look. I mean, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, so long hair was a big deal. So it's like when I started losing my hair, it was very traumatic because everybody had a lot of hair, and of course I didn't have any, so that was a big deal for me. And of course, if I would have known then shaving head would have been fashionable, I probably would have done that. But when I was younger and you shaved your head, you were considered an oddball, probably a neo-Nazi, a skinhead, somebody that was, what would you say? Well, probably somebody that was antisocial. So the shaving head option was out of the thing. So I basically resorted to the baseball cap, because that was just an easy way of covering up the bald head. So today it's the sunglasses and not the baseball cap, because when I was on the farm, it was the baseball cap. Okay, so yeah, basically that's it. So I don't think I got a whole lot more to say, just that don't give up on EOS yet. Don't throw in the towel. And I understand and I made a video one night, and this is a few years ago, and EOS had been riding high, and I think it went down to like $7 or $8, and I made a big purchase of the EOS stock at like $7 or $8, and I made a big deal out of it. And I even made a video and said, you're going to remember this video, and you're going to remember the fact that this price was a great price, and that if you didn't buy at this price, you were going to be starting with $7. Well, look where it's at today. It's at $3.69. So literally on that transaction, and I don't even think I still have it. I probably sold it, or we probably used it up to pay somebody or whatever. But yeah, I understand. The people have locked themselves into prices on EOS. Almost all of them are higher than we're trading today, and that's not good. And I'll tell you another thing: that's not good for Block One either, especially when they're sitting on $8 billion worth of Bitcoin. So the seat is getting hotter for Block One with the $8 billion worth of Bitcoin and the price of $3 EOS, and the price that a lot of people have it a lot higher than that. So as my friend said with the podcast, that's going to open some opportunities for somebody to make some waves for Block One. So I don't think Block One's going to be able just to kind of say, well, we got $8 billion worth of Bitcoin, and that token that we created just kind of is it's just dead on arrival, and it's not doing anything. I don't think those two are going to jive very much longer. So we'll see what happens. But I do think there's a possibility there. So for my good friend who gave me the idea for this video, I appreciate that. Tor, who, and I hope I say that right. I mean, as far as names are concerned, you can never get them right. And, I've seen names where they're absolutely could only be pronounced one way, but it's not pronounced that way. Because people just just kind of like me in the sunglasses or me with the double glasses, they kind of put their own little, what they want it to be, like how your own little thing into it, your own identity. So people pronounce their names in ways that sometimes you could never, ever come up with that pronunciation from that spelling. So when I say people's names, they're always going to be wrong. So please don't take offense to the way I say your name. But to Tor, who gave me this idea, I appreciate it. And I've enjoyed it. Probably spoke way too long. Maybe that's a good reason not to do day streaming for me. Maybe it's better for me to do it at night when I'm a little bit more tired at the end of the day, so I don't talk for so long. But I hope people found it interesting, because I do think I give some interesting ideas today, some interesting points. And I do want people to consider EOS, and I want people to think that this is not something that, you have to have therapy about, because you can't let it go. And I kind of think that's what people think I am, that I need therapy because I can't let EOS go. That I've just kind of like the perfect person for that is Peter Schiff. He can't let the gold thing go. I mean, people have showed him, and I've heard him on countless interviews, argued, because he's the greatest guy in the world to argue with about Bitcoin and gold. Because Schiff's a smart guy. He's not only a smart guy, he is a good arguer, and he makes good arguments, and he's an intelligent guy. So he's a great guy to debate about Bitcoin. And he can't let it go. Even though he's had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin, I think he said the first time it was in like less than $20. We're at what, 33,000 right now? 33,461. So he had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at $20, and it's 33,000. Look at how many times he's missed the appreciation. How many X is that? That's a bunch. And he can't let it go. So talk about somebody that needs therapy. It's maybe Peter Schiff. So people are saying that I need therapy about EOS. I just can't let it go, because it's something that I keep talking about, even though the price doesn't do anything. So I bet, like I say, I get on multiple times a day, somebody's either leaving a comment, texting me, or giving me some message that EOS is dead on arrival, will never do anything, and is a hopeless project that will for forever and a day never be anything but a frustration or a point of something that's never going to return back any money for them. So anyway, I disagree. I do think we got better days ahead. Here, I've been on for 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 50 seconds. I have 27 thumbs up and 21 thumbs down, so I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and like I said, for as long as this is taking, it's probably going to take me a while. For if you go to YouTube and watch it, because I'm recording it on YouTube, it's probably going to take a little bit of time for the entire transmission to be watched, because that's the way it works. It's going to take a little bit of time for this to be its entirety. So I appreciate it. I've had a good time. I've enjoyed talking about it. And then of course it gives me opportunities to think of what I want to say and think about it and see people react to it. So please react to it. If you want to make a comment, I'd try to answer. I read every single comment. I try to answer as many as I can. But yeah, if you have some opinions, I would like to hear what you have to say, because I'm interested in what you have to say. Because I do these for my own, for my own education, and also for the ability to interact with other people and hear what they have to say. And I'm realistically, my goal for this is for everybody to have a good experience with these cryptocurrencies, and for people to feel comfortable with them and find them interesting and want to continue to be involved. So that's what it's all about. It's just about engagement, and it's about being social, and it's about throwing yourself out there and talking, and hopefully getting some interaction with people and just getting a discussion going. And that's what I like to do. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.